Okay, I wanted to show you guys something, and I feel like you would take it a little, or you'd read it if I did it this way than if I shared it, because it's kind of long, but I'm going to go through it really quick just so this isn't a long video. But I wanted to show you because I woke up and read it this morning and I was like, oh my God. So, Tommy G, if you have Twitter, I highly suggest following Tommy G. He also has a podcast. He does a lot of really good research. So if you're one of those people that wants to do research or doesn't know how or needs kind of somebody else to do it for you, he's a good person to follow. He did all the research I'm getting ready to show you. I did not do this research. He did. In-game threads. So I'm going to go ahead and just get into it, and you'll start to see what I'm talking about. So in-game thread. Want to know what this war is about? Want to know how this movie ends? Want to know what Trump's plan is? I think his whole presidency is based on one thing, NESARA. Some of you are probably getting on your phones right now. What the hell is NESARA? I did the same thing. Okay. The more I dug, the more certain I became. Buckle up and get ready to smoke some hopium. All right, so he goes and gets into it. Let me figure out how to shoot it. Here we go. I don't usually do Twitter on my computer. All right. So next. In a not so surprising development, I wrote out 24 parts to this thread and saved it in drafts, only to wake up to only one part of the thread being saved and the other 23 parts missing, which is impossible. This isn't surprising given my recent experiences. So Twitter is trying to delete him, cover him up, anything he's doing. That tells you right there he's telling you the truth. If it was a lie, they just let it go. That's kind of what they do. So, 3. Let's pick back up and redo it. I'll start with a brief history of where the NESARA bill came from, but will not go too in-depth on the corruption of the government because it would be a 90-hour history lesson. Just assume what you already know. The government's corrupt. Something we've always known our whole lives. All right? So number 4. I'll do my best to separate facts from theories, but for most of you who understand motives of the deep state, NESARA ties almost every conspiracy theory into one. They've scraped the internet of almost all mentions of it, but I'll show you how it's right in front of you. If you do try to Google NESARA, it's kind of hard to find it, or you're not going to find proof of it. I've tried. So number 5, let's go. Fact. After the Great Depression, many unconstitutional laws were passed, giving all the power to the elites and cabal, and stripping it from the people. The kickoff for NESARA was 50 years ago when the Fed and IRS went after the farmers and tried to steal their land and money. Some of you may have been alive to see that. 6. Fact. In the 70s, banks manipulated farmers with bad loans during a boom, only to screw them over in the 80s. Farmers not taken advantage of in a way similar to the housing crash of 2008. They then fought back with 20 years of lawsuits. Okay, he's got this right here. This was an article from 2001. Farmers sue AG Department over payments stemming from 80s bailout. Bismarck, North Dakota. Dozens of farmers have sued the U.S. Agricultural Department, saying bills seeking money from deals struck during the 1980s federal farm bailout has raised new fear of foreclosure. The lawsuit filed this week in U.S. District Court in Bismarck lists 108 farmers. It could include as many as 20,000 if class action status is approved, said Sarah Vogel, attorney for the farmers. Number 7. It's getting somewhere, I promise. Fact. The bill was created by Harvey Bernard, based off JFK principles, outlining financial reforms to prevent corruption in the USA. Okay, the theory, it was presented to Congress and secretly passed by Bush, who tried to fight it but was forced to push through under pressure from military. I'm going to tell you he's incorrect here. It was actually Clinton. Bill Clinton. And I think he says that somewhere in here. He made a mistake. It is Bill Clinton who tried to fight it but was forced to push through under pressure from the military. All right, so number 8. The bill, known as the National Economic Security and Recovery Act, NESARA, had some drastic measures to bring America back to constitutional law and remove power from the evil empire. This bill would not only make 95% of Americans happy, but it would immediately end the cabal. If you don't know what the cabal is, Google it. I'm not here to do your research for you. I'm just trying to help you find it. Number 9, Harvey Bernard is an important name to remember because he is known as the godfather of NESARA. His thoughts on how to fix America are so in line with Trump that it's scary. By the end of this thread, it will be hard to dispute that Trump is pushing to enact NESARA. Once you understand what NESARA is, you're going to be crossing your fingers that all of this is true. The fact NESARA was created is really all that matters, and that is provable, since I truly believe it is the Trump blueprint. Whether it was passed by Congress and a gag order was placed, or whether it never reached Congress is not important. The blueprint was real. Okay, so let's talk about that. NESARA, National Economic Security and Recovery Act, was a set of proposed economic reforms for the United States suggested during the 1990s by Harvey Francis Bernard. Bernard claimed that the proposals, which included replacing the income tax with a national sales tax, abolished compound interest on secured loans, and returning to a bimetallic currency, I don't know if I said that right, would result in 0% inflation and a more stable economy. The proposals were never introduced before Congress. I wonder why. When there's no inflation and income taxes are null and void, they don't make any money. They can't profit off of us. That's why they don't like it. Number 11, we will get to the theories of whether it was passed by Congress or not at some point. Obviously, the lefty websites will say it wasn't presented, but let's break down what it consists of. Here are a list of bullet points that explain what happens if it is passed. So let's look at it. What would happen if NESARA is passed? So in October 2000, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, NESARA, was signed into law into the United States of America. All politicians and media members are under a gag order to not speak about it publicly until its global announcement. This law will be enacted first in the U.S. and then rolled out globally. So you'll see it called NESARA GESARA. NESARA National, GESARA Global. 1, it forgives all debt due to illegal banking and government activities. 2, dissolves the IRS and ends all income tax. Because remember, income tax is theft. It is not constitutional at all. But we've been led to believe that. Oh, well, we have to pay our dues. We have to pay for the president. We have to pay for the roads potholes getting fixed, all that crap. All right. If anybody lives in Richmond, Virginia, you know they don't spend any of that money to fix potholes. Let's keep going. It creates flat, non-essential, new items only sales tax. So this means if it's not essential, you pay a sales tax if you're purchasing it new. So if I was to go out and purchase a above ground pool and it's brand new from Walmart, I'm going to pay a 17% flat tax. That's it on that item. If I was to go to Goodwill, and I don't know if Goodwill sells above ground pools, but say they did, and it was secondhand, I'm not going to pay any tax on it. Okay, that's what they're saying. Returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. Creates a new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals. Our current currency is not backed by anything. It's a fiat note. It serves the only reason it's worth anything is because it's the trade currency. So what happens if the global trade currency stops using the dollar? You can wipe your ass with your $100 bill. It wouldn't make a difference. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? I get so excited. Okay. Initiates new U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. Okay. The Fed and the IRS are not constitutional. It ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions globally and establishes worldwide peace. Releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. And enables the release initially of over 6,000 patents of suppressed new technologies, including free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines. Free energy is really, really bad for the oil industry. And that's why they do not want you to know it exists. It's existed for a really long time. Okay, 12. Do I have your attention now? Most of you new to the conspiracy stuff are probably not ready for this, but after reading that shit, I'm pretty sure you realize that we should all be praying for this to happen. And I will bring you from 0% to 20% that it may. I'm 70%. So he's about 70% sure based on his research that this may very well go into effect. Okay? So number 13, NESARA would wipe out the IRS, wipe out the Fed, wipe out all debt, mortgage, credit cards, student loan, etc., and move us back to the gold standard. Let's break these down one by one and see if they seem realistic individually so we can grasp the potential reality of the whole. So it's basically going to get rid of any bank debt that has interest on it, because constitutional law says that interest is not constitutional, it's illegal. So basically auditing the Federal Reserve would prove illegal transactions, illegal loan interest, and therefore any debt held by an American, whether it's your mortgage through the bank, credit cards through the bank, student loans through the bank, will all be null and void. How would you like to wake up one morning and your $300,000 mortgage has been paid off because it was illegal in the first place? All right, so he puts a little picture on here. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. And poor JFK was assassinated 7 days after that speech. If you try to Google that, they'll try to tell you that he didn't say that, but there's plenty of videos out there. You can hear it for yourself. You can listen to his speeches. He said it. Number 14. I just heard my kid come in the door. We start with gold standard and abolishment of the Fed. This is not new, since Reagan and JFK were both huge advocates of new currency and abolition of the Fed. We also know Trump was best friends with JFK Jr. and is always most closely compared to Reagan. So you can watch his 2-minute clip if you want to. I'm not going to watch it on here, but it's pretty interesting. Again, Tommy G on Twitter. You can follow him. You can find this post. Number 15, interesting thing about Reagan and JFK on their mission to wipe out the Fed and IRS was they both had assassination attempts. JFK was killed and Reagan was hospitalized. This shows you the lengths the cabal will go to stop their evil empire from burning. Bush Sr. was involved in both. What do you need? Gavin. What do you need? What do you need? Oh, okay. Okay. So one day after I am long gone, you will remember me and say we should have stopped the nuclear program of Israel, abolished the Federal Reserve, and kicked all secret societies, occultists, usurpers, and Zionists out of our wonderful country to keep it that way. But it is never too late. Just remember that. Just remember that, guys. Never too late. All right. So number 16, there have been books written about Bush Sr.'s murder of JFK, and it's the most provable of many conspiracy theories surrounding him. However, did you know that John Hinckley, who shot Reagan, was also tied to the Bushes? His brother Scott Hinckley was very close to them. So this is the book. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Dark Legacy. George Bush and the Murder of JFK. What? Over here, it's not surprising to me. I've been kind of researching this for a while. I just want to show it to you guys. So this right here just proves how Hinckley is related to the Bushes. Not related, but you know, friends, whatever you want to call it. So number 17, so we know that JFK and Reagan wanted the Fed and IRS gone and were either killed or almost killed for it. We also know that Trump has the same views. Trump has been very vocal about crushing the IRS, moving to a new currency, and wiping out the Fed. So you can see it everywhere. He's showing all the proof right here. So Trump's Fed nominee advocates a gold-backed currency, even a crypto one. Okay, our money needs to be worth something. Under Trump, an already depleted IRS could face deep cuts. President Trump replaced the dollar with gold as the global currency to make America great again. And there's one more. President Trump has a rocky history with the Internal Revenue Service, which he has complained audits him with unfair ferocity. Now he wants to significantly cut the tax agency's funding at a time when it has already been bleeding staff and struggling to keep up with the flood of returns ahead of tax day. I'll let you read that yourself. You can pause the video. I've already read all this. All right, number 18. If you're a QAnon fan, you most likely believe that the Fed has already been taken over by patriots, and I personally subscribe to this belief also. I am not diving deep into Q here because I don't want to polarize this thread with opinions, but there is a lot if you dig. All right, so those of you that don't know who Q is, I suggest just searching it. Those of you that don't believe in Q, that's fine. That's your choice. Number 19. So NESARA's main 3 points here. Wipe out the Fed. Wipe out the IRS and have a new currency. So what is the IRS to the Fed? The IRS is the Fed's army. The IRS goes out there and takes everybody's money. It appears Trump is 100% in line correct. The core part of NESARA is to replace the government and move us back to constitutional law, bringing back the power to the people. All right. You can watch this clip if you want. It's only 60 seconds. It's pretty interesting. I lost the spot. All right, number 20. Sounds like a NESARA playbook, doesn't it? Well, the clip does. You can go in and listen to it. And he spoke about trillions of dollars being unearthed. Well, there are allegedly $800 trillion that have been hidden by the elites that would not only be exposed, but distributed evenly to the people if NESARA isn't acted. So a lot of you were like, oh, he keeps spending money and we're already in debt. This man's not stupid. Y'all need to realize that. So what this says right here is former Director of Central Intelligence William Colby. They uncovered the common practice of bribery and extortion committed by both senators and judges. The criminal activity was so rampant that only 2 out of 535 members of Congress were deemed honest. But more importantly, they carried out the first ever audit of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was accustomed to giving orders to politicians and had no intentions of being audited. However, after they were informed their offices would be raided under military gunpoint if necessary, they complied with the investigation. After reviewing their files, the military officers found $800 trillion sitting in accounts which should have been applied to the national debt. And contrary to federal government propaganda, they also discovered that most nations had in fact owed money to the United States instead of the other way around. These hidden trillions were then confiscated and placed into European bank accounts in order to generate the enormous funds needed to pay the farmers' claims class action lawsuit. Later, this money would become the basis of the prosperity programs. That's what it was supposed to have been used for. So 21, fun conspiracy part. You hear Trump and Q mention this is not another 4-year election. A lot. Well, one of the features listed above in NESARA is a wiping out of the sitting politicians and new elections, which technically could lead to Trump being the last president. This is where it gets crazy. Okay, so there is a book called The Last President, written 100 and some years ago. All right, so 22. Those of you who know about Ingersoll Lockwood know where I'm going with this. But if you don't, buckle up. In the 1800s, multiple books were written about a time traveler named Baron Trump, and the coincidences are insane. Okay, you don't have to believe in time travel if you don't want to. Read this. The kid even looks like Trump. So I didn't really look at this, but you can go and look at it. Ingersoll Lockwood, an American politician, writer, lawyer, and novelist, combined a unique mixture of science fiction and fantasy into his novels from the late 1800s. Two of the most popular works of literature were illustrated children's stories focusing on a particular fictional character whose name rings a bell in 2017, Baron Trump. Trump, an aristocratically wealthy young man living in Castle Trump, is the protagonist of Lockwood's first 2 fictional novels, The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulgar, and Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. The little boy, who has an unending imagination and a very active brain, is bored of the luxurious lifestyle he has grown so accustomed to. In a twist of fate, Trump visits Russia to embark on an extraordinary adventure that will shape the rest of his life. All right, so that's what it says on the book and what the book is about. You can look more into this. You can read this book if you want. It's available. There's a lot of incidences in this. It talks about, look, there's a picture right here. They're trying to say that it looks like him. It's a drawing. I can't say that it looks like him, but you really need to look at this. Because I think it even has Pence in there. Pence's name is in there. Basically, the book talks about Trump actually running for president. Nobody believed he would win. I mean, it's crazy. It's really what's happening right now. I really suggest you read the book. So 23. Those books were written 130 years ago. And that's not even the crazy part. Once you dig into Nikola Tesla, unanimously regarded as the most brilliant man ever to live, and his time travel and free energy theories, you may shit yourself. Yeah, definitely. Get on there and look at that, okay? 24. When Tesla died, guess who the guy responsible for sifting through his unseen research was? John Trump. Donald's uncle and mentor. What a crazy coincidence. John Trump claimed he found nothing from the man who basically invented radio, AC, electricity, computers, robotics, radar, ballistics, and nuclear physics. He found nothing. Or did he? Maybe he wanted to hide it from the corrupt government. So number 25. The reason I bring this up is that part of NESARA is, and I quote, the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies that are being withheld from the public under the guise of national security, including free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines. Okay, so let's look at this. Nikola Tesla was a scientist and inventor known for his patents and grand ideas about bringing the world free energy. The invention was to produce wireless energy. It's called the Tesla coil. It was impressive that he invented this in 1891, before traditional iron core transformers were invented. Read up on him. Read up on what they did to him. It's not okay. Number 26. I think we are all aware that government technology is 50 to 100 years ahead of what we the people use, considering the CIA themselves admitted it. So safe to say we already have the tools to provide free energy, except it would kill the oil market for the elites. So they hide it. Didn't I say that? It would kill the oil market. Wait a minute. Those of you that are for climate change, or climate, you want to fix it, whatever it is you're fighting for, the Democrats are hiding it from you. You're voting for the people that are hiding free energy that would help fix that problem. Man, the things you find when you just research it. All right, so right here is an article. The King of Saudi Arabia gave more than $1.3 million in gifts to the Obamas last year. Wonder why. Why did the Saudi regime and other Gulf tyrannies donate millions to the Clinton Foundation? House of Bush, House of Saud. The secret relationship between the world's two most powerful dynasties. It's a book written about it. Julian Assange. ISIS and Clinton Foundation are both funded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Qatar? Qatar? I don't know how to say that. Qatar. Look, I told you I'm not any smarter than you guys. You can do this too. 27. So from the NESARA list, we have already checked off a ton of Trump boxes. What else do we have? What about the world peace part? Well, this part looks to already be well underway, although the media is trying to flip the narrative. So I need to turn the media off. Okay. Oh, it feels good out here, that wind. 28. In order for NESARA, global NESARA, to take place, the whole world would need to get in line to stop China from taking over. Have you noticed how much the media talks about Trump and Russia and North Korea and Kim Jong-un and Putin being his friends? Maybe that's a good thing. Okay. Maybe that's a good thing. So 29, in order to stop China and the Middle East, who are attacking us, we would need to align with Russia, break Britain, align with North Korea, who haven't attacked us, and remove ourselves from shady global deals. Here are the things Trump already accomplished in just 3 years. You can read it right there. You can pause the video if you want to read it. I already know. Number 30. The media will have you believe all of these interactions with Kim Jong-un, Putin, etc. are proving that Trump is evil. But what if he is just lining up the whole world, to shut down the cabal, and they are scared shitless and know they are done? So they're trying to make him look like Hitler, right? Duh. How many times I have to say it? Duh. Let's wake up here, people. 31. What if the reason the left is so focused on starting a race war within America is because the rest of the world is secretly aligning against them? They know their only chance to stop what's coming is to destroy us from within and implode the country to get Trump out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Black Lives Matter already admitted that was their goal. To get Trump out of office. Why should that be their goal? I thought standing up for Black lives was their goal. Trump has nothing to do with that. Trump's been in office for 3.5 years. The people that are responsible have been in office for 50. Use your common sense here, people. Oh, there's so more. All right. Number 32. We know Trump speaks in code. This is obvious, especially to Anons, but I am not going down a Q rabbit hole here. What I will do is show you a recent comm which freaked me out. NESARA is commonly referred to as RV for re-evaluation. Now, check out this clip. And some of you probably remember this clip.
I think I'm going to buy an RV and travel for an RV.
Right, so listen to him.
And they're building the trailers. They're building a lot of things. They're driving. People are driving. I may have to buy one of those things, drive around town. Maybe I'll drive back to New York with our First Lady in a trailer. What do they call that?
RV.
An RV. An RV. Well, you should know Indiana's the capital of RVs. I think I'm going to buy an RV and travel for an hour in an RV with our First Lady. And they're building the trailers.
So,
they're building a lot of things.
A lot of you are like, okay, he's talking about an RV. Doesn't that seem strange to you? So 33. He said RV 5 times in like 10 seconds. And the media, of course, made fun of him. Because in my opinion, they are too dumb to realize he's speaking in code. How does he know Indiana is the RV capital if he doesn't know what an RV is? He's a NASCAR fan. He knows what an RV is. All right? He's trying to wake the people up. 34. If that didn't grab you, let me hit you with another one here. Remember that guy, Harvey Bernard, who wrote the NESARA bill? Well, he wrote a book about NESARA and how it can save the world. He wrote this book 20 years ago. Okay? And the book was called Draining the Swamp, Monetary and Fiscal Policy Reform. Coincidental? This guy is dead. And look, you can't buy it. They will not let it, currently unavailable. Coincidence? 36. Really? Come on. The dude died 15 years ago. What are the odds that Trump's second most popular campaign slogan, Drain the Swamp, is the title of the book written by the guy who created NESARA? And oddly enough, it's not available for purchase. I love Deadpool. Okay, 37. Trump's most famous campaign slogan is Make America Great Again, which is the direct communication to putting us back to the constitutional ways that NESARA would provide. A wise man once told me, how many coincidences until mathematically impossible? Math warriors out there, I want you to tell me. How many coincidences before mathematically impossible? Number 38. Want a 9/11 tie-in? Allegedly, the NESARA deadline has approached, and Bush had no choice but to sign it into law. The alleged deadline was, you guessed it, September 11th, 2001. But the buildings, which housed the financial records, imploded. Trump felt Bush was to blame. So this guy right here has found several videos, you can go look them up for yourself, that Trump is talking about this, where he's blaming Bush. Okay. So 39. Trillions of dollars went missing just days before 9/11. And that is a fact, not conspiracy. And tons of gold went missing also. Then magically, the towers fell and the NESARA records and the missing money were gone. All right, so let's click on this right here. On September 10th, 2001, then U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld disclosed that his department was unable to account for roughly $2.3 trillion worth of transactions. The next day, the U.S. sustained the terrorist attacks that changed the world, and this startling revelation was forgotten. I don't remember hearing about it. The world's cash is disappearing. Bankers aren't sure where it went. As someone that's been in retail management for a pretty long time, money doesn't just appear and disappear. Okay? That's not how it works. Number 40. Ever wonder why the left was forcing out people like Bernie, Yang, and others who had ideas of free college, waiving of debt, and were more well-supported, only to force in a brain-dead creeper like Biden? It is because they need the old guard puppet who they can control. And I've always said that. Now, I might not be a Bernie supporter or agree with his crazy free stuff, but the reason that they didn't like Bernie is because they could not control Bernie. Bernie was going to get in that office and do whatever Bernie wanted it to do. They didn't like that. Twice they took the nominee from him. Twice. And it was even obvious to Trump. Trump even called them out on it. Poor Bernie. Number 41. There was an interesting break the other day. I noticed in the NESARA case with the DECA ruling too. This is exciting because I didn't know this and I learned this. This is awesome. So this ruling appeared to be a loss for Trump, but I don't think it was. That flip-flopping psyop, Cernovich, I don't know how to say that name, tweeted some interesting facts about the DECA loss. All right, so let's click here. Under today's DECA ruling, Trump can issue an executive order granting Americans amnesty from paying taxes. This ruling is a blank check. Never seen anything like this. The unitary executive theory is back and on steroids. Okay, over here. Today's DECA ruling from the Supreme Court empowers a president of the United States to create rights out of thin air, even when the rights created contradict statutory law enacted by Congress. So them going against what Trump wanted for DACA, or DACA, or however you want to say it, basically just made him the most powerful man in the world. Okay, 42. So this loss enables Trump to now have power to do whatever the hell he wants, including tax amnesty, the first step of NESARA. Well, let's see if Trump agreed that this ruling granted him insane power. So Trump tweets on 6/18, the DACA decision, while a highly political one and seemingly not based on the law, gives the President of the United States far more power than ever anticipated. Nevertheless, I will only act in the best interests of the United States of America. So those of you that don't like Trump and you want to call him a dictator and say he's doing this for his own personal reasons, well, now that he has all this power, wouldn't he go ahead and do whatever it is you think he's going to do? Maybe we should pay attention to that and watch what he does and doesn't do. Because I tell you what, if Hillary Clinton was in office and she had this power, Lord have mercy, we'd be doomed. We'd be F-U-C-K-E-D. So, number 43, bang. The dumb F-U-C-K media is declaring this a loss for Trump, and you're believing it. Meanwhile, he just got 10 times the power he had before to push through legislation. Legislation like NESARA. Number 44, also, the other popular name for NESARA, outside of RV, is the Global Reset. What if this quarantine was just doomsday prep to get everyone buying guns, get us used to living simpler lives again, and form a practice reset before the global reset? Just an opinion. 45. Regardless. I wonder if he knows he spelled that wrong. Regardless, I think there is a lot of evidence provided here that whether NESARA was ever pushed through or not, Trump is doing everything in his power to check off every single box on the NESARA checklist. Read the list again with a fresh perspective and tell me I'm wrong. So I'll pull it up for a second. You can pause the video if you want and you can read it again. I'm not going to read it again. Number 46. On No Mercy Pod, this is Tommy G's podcast, highly recommend it. I'll head deep down the conspiracy sides of this thing, including clones, aliens, Bible, etc. But I wanted to present as much real evidence on here as I could before we go full red pill alien clone rabbit hole on the pod. So if you're not ready to be red pilled, you don't listen to his podcast because you're going to say this is loony. Okay. You kind of have to be open-minded and you have to kind of take a stance of knowing you've been lied to. That everything you believe is real is not. You have to have that mindset in order to be red-pilled. You have to. 47. I also want to lay out the opposing endgame with us not winning. showing what happens if China and the evil empire wins, but there's enough negativity in the world right now. I will work on a cabal takeover thread soon, but figured I would start with the good news first. So he's going to do another one where he talks about what happens if Trump doesn't win in November. However, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. All right, so it's not much else. It's kind of just talking about he wanted to go on record saying he's not suicidal. He's never have been, and never would commit suicide. Also, I've back tested it, and it's physically impossible for me to overdose on anything. I also think the Clintons, Bushes, and the cabal elites are all just misunderstood. That's his disclaimer. Down here, he does talk about his error. It was Clinton who was pressured by the military to sign it, supposedly, not Bush. That's kind of what he's saying there. So, highly, highly recommend following Tommy G here on Twitter. Highly, highly recommend if you want to be red-pilled. So, what does that mean? Watch The Matrix. You remember The Matrix? When he had the blue pill and the red pill, and he said you could take the blue pill and go back to living your fake little life and you won't know anything? Or you take the red pill and we can go down the rabbit hole and you can know the truth. Which one do you want? I'm a truther. I've never been fooled by this crap. I'm just now realizing everything I knew was real. So, yeah, follow Tommy G on Twitter. There's also X22 Report. I want you guys to follow X22 Report too. I think he has a Twitter, but the X22 Report is on YouTube. So I think his Twitter just tells you when he's posted a video, I believe. He's got little things like that, but definitely go watch the X22 Report. He posts 2 videos a day. One's 15 minutes, one's about 45 minutes. One's financial, one is geopolitical. He doesn't work on Saturday and Sunday, so you won't see those videos then. Because Sunday I was like, where's my X22 Report? He doesn't work on Saturday and Sunday. So you usually see them come through in the evenings, like 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, and he'll start to post them. Sometimes earlier. Highly, highly recommend this man right here. And that's really all I got for you guys. Just wanted to show it to you in a video because some of you probably wouldn't have even read through it or even understood it. Okay.